Okay, shall we get this started then?
Let's get this started. Our
Yeah.
maiden voyage in Gen AI and Tableau.
All right, everyone. I just want to say a big thank you all to coming to our first event. I'm super excited to see so many of you in the chat coming along online. I'm Will Sutton. I'm a consultant with the Information Lab. We are a Tableau partner, and I've been super interested in AI ever since ChatGPT first came out. I've been really focused on understanding how I can make this tool work for what I do currently with data visualization and analytics. So I've been out speaking about ChatGPT and Tableau at Dreamforce. I've been out at Tableau conference, understanding what it's going to do to our careers. And now this is the next step for me, understanding where we can go and grow a community of AI practitioners here and there. So super excited to have you all here today. The agenda looks like this today. It's kind of a mix of a few different bits and pieces for you. So first up, we've got Adam, who'll be showing a demo of VisCritique Pro. I really like this. This is a nice way that you can get feedback on your data visualizations for free with a GPT. It's super cool. Next up, we've got Vidya. Vidya is like an inspiration to me. I mean, head of Tableau research, PhD in generative AI, a super clever person to go and tell us all about what AI, large language models will mean for us in the world of data visualization. And to hold out to the end, we have a little contest for you. So this will be a nice fun way that we can come together as a community, learn a bit about generating images, and you could win yourself 2 chances at 2 gift cards of $50 each. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Exactly. You got to get rid of my old bad photo. Logos. Get rid of my old logos. They're just placeholders.
Thankfully, I'm not here alone. There have been many people here that I'm really thankful for that have made this event possible here today, and I want to give them time to go and introduce themselves as well. So I'll hand over to the rest of the team here.
Okay, I guess I'll get started. So, hi everyone, I'm Adam Mico. I'm Principal of Data and Analytics Strategist at Moderna. I'm also a Tableau Visionary, Ambassador, Published Author, and Advisory Board Member at the Data Leadership Collaborative. So being part of this TUG is so important to me because both personally and professionally, I'm really passionate about data visualization and generative AI, and I use it extensively at work, and I even build GPT models for fun. So it's really exciting to be part of this 4th wave. So next, Joy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joy Victor. I'm a data analyst at DataEdX and a huge Tableau fangirl. I love everything AI and specifically research and ethics. AI is amazing, but at times we need to put reins on it to make sure it's doing the right thing it's supposed to do. So that I absolutely love. And the work I do currently revolves around generative AI in Atlanta and enforcing ethics and making sure the policies work. Right. So that's what I do, and I really love it. And I'm just so glad to be a part of this user group and all the impact we're going to make. I'm excited.
Hi everyone, I'm Rika Fujiwara from Japan. I'm working for Slalom Tokyo, and I'm a data visualization specialist. But as you know, so our expertise and capabilities are expanding to the AI area. So as a data analyst, also the data strategist, I hope to learn a lot about AI. So I joined this Tableau user group and hope to represent the APAC Tableau energetic people. So today I'm very excited to host this event and hope to see many global the Tableau user group member, and hope to run and enjoyed AI plus Tableau. Thank you.
I want to say a special thank you for Rika for coming, because it's currently Tuesday where Rika is at the moment, so very early in the morning. So special thank you for that. Before we get underway, I do have a sort of couple of parish notices or ways that you can go and get access to AI at the moment, features from Tableau. So the two AI features out at the moment, Tableau Pulse and Einstein Copilot. So Tableau Pulse is generally available at the moment. If you have a Tableau cloud account, you can go and get access to Tableau Pulse. That should be enabled. If it's not, you can always check with your admin team there to see if you can get hands-on with that product. If you don't have Tableau Cloud, but would like to understand what Tableau Pulse is, how it works, you can sign up to the Tableau Developer Program. In that, you will get free access to a Tableau Cloud environment. So this can be a nice way that you can go and play and test this Tableau Pulse, see what it does it work for you and your organization before making any firm decisions on that. Secondly is Einstein Copilot. You may have seen this at conference. It's effectively having that large language model, the ChatGPT, in Tableau with you to help you as you go and visualize or prepare your data sets. So this product is currently in what's called an open beta at the moment. It's not generally available, but they are open for people who want to go and test the product themselves. So I'd highly recommend, if you haven't had a go with Einstein Copilot, signing up to the beta. You get to understand how the product works, but importantly, you get to give that team a bit of feedback on how it works. And I feel this is really nice because now that we as a group can actually start informing what AI features look like in the product. So if you haven't ever been in a beta program before, you might want to try this one out. I'm going to go and put a couple of those links into the chat for everybody in a second. But yeah, let's move on to getting started with some of the demos.
So up next is Adam, and Adam is the principal data visualization and enablement at Moderna. He's also a Tableau visionary and Tableau ambassador, as well as the co-lead of this amazing tug. So he will be showing us how Viz Critique Pro works, and not just how it works, but how amazing and cool it is. So in summary, Viz Critique Pro just gives you feedback on your work, but it's way cooler than that. And I want Adam to show us all how to use that. So over to you, Adam.
Thanks so much. I'll pop open my screen real quick. Entire screen. Thank you, Bevy. So with this segment, I'll introduce Viz Critique Pro and run a quick demo of 3 visualizations. Please note, since we want to get into our keynote as soon as possible, I will answer any questions in the chat after the presentation. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on this part of it because the cool part of it is in the demo section. So what is Viz Critique Pro? So it assists in refining data visualizations, offering critiques and suggestions for improvement. Please grab the QR code to access it, and I'll drop the link in the chat after my presentation. So the overview is that Viz Critique Pro is an advanced GPT or custom GPT designed to provide details and frictionless analysis and feedback on data visualizations. And for me, it's so important to make sure that feedback is frictionless. First of all, people tend not to like their visualization. Somebody sees it and provides feedback that they don't like, sometimes they take it personally. And also, you tend not to want to ask people to do additional stuff and additional work because so many people that are looking at data visualizations day to day are super busy. So it's great that it's frictionless, and that's a huge part of why I really like to share it. So the purpose of it is, again, to enhance your the quality of and effectiveness of your visualizations using best practices on based on at least partially on Tableau's blueprint principles. And the target users are data analysts, visualization professionals, and business users aiming to improve their data presentations. And the great thing, as Will touched on a little bit earlier, everybody who has access to ChatGPT should have access to this custom GPT. So scoring framework, I'm not going to read all the wording, but I just wanted to say that based on my approach to relevance in feedback, I weighed 7 domains that made sense to review for a static image on ChatGPT for data visualization best practices. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is when you could add GIFs into ChatGPT and it could review those GIFs. But in the meantime, it could only look at static images. So obviously there's going to be some stuff that it can't review, like interactivity, work with tooltips and so forth, but it can provide feedback on those items. Another fun feature that it includes is a up to 5-point increase based on the aesthetics of the dashboard. So does it look good? And I did provide instructions that point out that what's a good looking dashboard versus one that doesn't look great. Also of note is that the variance between each 0.5 point step is much greater than it seems. So pretty much any competent data visualization will at least be 5. And every 0.5 increase is a substantial jump that doesn't really reflect the difference in the score. And the highest score I witnessed was in the low 9s. But most importantly, and one of the things I want to stress here is that people could ask for feedback only and no scoring. So here are some of the key features and feedback that this GPT provides. So it focuses on making visualizations that fits the audience knowledge level. That's so important. So ensuring that the message is clear. It advises on best chart types to use for easy understanding and accurate information. It also suggests ways to design layouts that make storytelling and navigation better. So using color smartly improves readability, while clear titles, labels, and annotations help convey that message. So it recommends easy to read fonts and offers tips to make visualizations more interactive and accessible, promoting engagement and inclusivity. So now is the time for the feedback demo. So I'm just going to pop out of this and pull up another screen. So right here is ChatGPT Custom GPT Pro. There's ways to get started, and I'm going to pull up something real quick. One thing you could do is just simply pull up an image and post the image there, and that's all you really need to do. But sometimes you really want to provide additional details so it knows what to focus on and provides your scoring and context. So for this particular example, I'm going to provide a 1-sentence update here. So I'm going to share an infographic I built a long time ago, and I asked it to not provide a numerical score. So what I'm going to do is copy an image, paste that image here, and this is all I have. This is absolutely live. So if it breaks, I have a backup. So if it's not working at this point because there's an issue with ChatGPT, and of course, sometimes it does that. That's how you know it's live. So right now it's going into those items that I talked about a little bit earlier. And this was all done based on the instructions that was given to it. So GPT, you can create instructions up to 8,000 characters. And trust me, I went against that wall many times with this advanced GPT because there's a lot to it. Not only is it looking at everything data visualization best practice wise, but there's a whole scoring, sample output and so forth. But here's a really cool thing right here. So I did share this. This happened to be a visit of the day back in 2021. So I want to chart my life expectancy and look at that, and each dot represented a month. So it went through this whole entire visualization, which is pretty slight. It's not a very in-depth visualization, but it's an infographic. So it provides recommendations here, which are good, like it add age markers. Always helpful to help people really understand certain things. Enhance color contrast, increase text size, and interactive elements. So another important thing I'll point out before I move on is that when you have a new visualization that you want to review, it's always best to do it on a new chat, just to make sure it's fresh feedback based on what I have here. So the next visualization is Will Sutton's here. So he provided additional feedback, which I'll add right here. Remove this picture. And you can tell this is not my writing because he spells organization differently than I do. And then I'm going to copy and just pop that right down here. And now we could see it in action, hopefully. Okay. So right now, I did not ask it to not score. So by default, its nature is to score each element that it could actually score. And given the feedback that you provide with the data visualization, it's going to focus explicitly on what you're providing, but also the other elements that apply to the scoring of your data visualization. So right here, any score above a 7 is incredible. So it may go a little between 0.5 I've seen in my experience. So 7.8 visual visionary. If you do anything above a 7, give yourself a pat in the back. As you can see here, this visualization is so pretty right off the bat, and I'll just pop it open so you can see it a little bit better. It's looking for aesthetics, and it provided a 0.5 boost, which is its maximum boost that it can provide based on the aesthetics of this visualization. And it's telling you why. So it's not only giving you feedback, it's providing context and provide you actionable things that you could do to improve your dashboards. And the final one that I'm going to share before we go into Vidya is I want a different language response. So I'm providing feedback for somebody that speaks Japanese and not English. I do not speak Japanese. So what I'm going to do right here is provide just a very small text here. So please review this data visualization and share feedback in Japanese. What I'm going to do is copy and paste this image of the dashboard that's in Japanese. So you can see that right here. So let's hope it can read Japanese. And its output is in Japanese. Rika, you could tell me whether this is actually Japanese and it makes sense, because there's no way for me to indicate.
Yeah, I think this I'm the only host who can introduce this. The evaluation is correct or not, but it's okay. So let me see. Makes sense. Yes, it says the font is the basically it's easy to read, but it may be good to get a little bit bigger so that the viewer can view more easier.
Yeah.
I think so.
And
Yeah,
I could
title
see
is
why,
okay, but
yeah, this is
yeah.
a nice visualization, but I could see why they would say, because it overlaps a bit with the shapes. It may be difficult to see in context. And also the advice in most cases with font, go bigger, not smaller, for accessibility purposes. And one of the big things that it scores on is reviewing accessibility of a data visualization. So always good. Any other notes that you could take away from this?
So this is, I'd like to pick the each sections. I think it says that there's some kind of border we need between the visualization.
Oh, yes.
Since my visualization doesn't have
white
any
space.
bars or separators, so that a little bit difficult to lead the stream of the visualization. So it's actually a good idea to add some bars or separator among the visualization, I think. Yeah, good point. Very informative.
But it wasn't me, it was the GPT. So thank you for that, Rika, and thank you so much for being up at 1 a.m. to talk about data viz and Biz Critique Pro in Japanese. So thank you so much. Back to you, Joy.
Really appreciate you, and thank you. So up next we have Vidya. Vidya is the senior director at Tableau computer graphics and natural language processing. She's also the co-author. We're so glad to have you here, Vidya, and thank you for the future. The floor is all yours now. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let me just share my screen. All right, can folks see this? Yeah. All right, perfect. I'm not going to be monitoring chat while I'm talking, but please feel free to add questions, and then happy to answer after the talk. Yeah, so thanks again for the warm welcome. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for hosting this, and just for everybody joining in from various time zones. I appreciate that. So I thought as part of this talk, I would provide some perspectives on where we are with respect to AI, and what are some ways in which we can use that technology in a responsible fashion that can support and continue to foster our workflow practices in visual analysis. So human creativity is a fundamental trait that distinguishes us from other species. And we see that creativity is not limited to just the arts, but it is present in all aspects of life, including problem solving, innovation, and scientific discovery. So as part of this, we also see that human curiosity is a fundamental trait that drives the need to explore and understand the world around us. And curiosity is that driving force behind many scientific discoveries, technological advancements, and just everyday problem solving. And curiosity has, about the stars, for instance, has led to the development of astronomy and space exploration. And just that general thirst for being inquisitive has really helped us to understand and make the world a better place. In addition to that, collaboration has been a key factor, I would say, in the advancement of human society, from building ancient civilizations to modern scientific research. And we find that by working together, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, so we can achieve more than we could individually. And so collaborative efforts, which I'm a really big believer of, leads to more comprehensive insights and just a better way of decision making where everybody has a voice at the table. So these fundamental traits of human creativity, curiosity, and collaboration help drive the development of more intelligent tools to just make our lives easier and for us to be more effective as creative thinking animals. And so this creative thinking has led to the development of new technologies and improvements, and it prompts us to ask questions and seek better ways to accomplish our tasks. For example, starting with the invention of the eyeglasses, right? I mean, by understanding the optics of the human eye, this tool was invented to correct vision, an often seemingly straightforward solution to a common problem. Language translation has significantly improved over the years and has become more or less a solved problem, starting with the introduction of basic translation software like Google Translate, as well as AI-powered language models such as neural machine translation, deep learning. They have significantly helped improve the accuracy and fluency of language. And we've all seen, initially composing emails was entirely manually, a manual process that required users to write out each email from scratch. And then we started seeing basic templates and canned responses that help streamline these common replies, but were often static and they were not context aware. And now we have tools such as Smart Compose and Predictive Text, which suggest phrases and complete sentences as users type, making that process faster and more efficient. It helps increase productivity by reducing the time spent on email composition. Earlier, we would, spend a lot of time, trying to get that perfect picture. And now we see smartphones equipped with, better software to help automatically improve photo quality based on lighting and the environment. They have features like portrait mode, night mode, real-time adjustments to capture that perfect picture. So we've seen that, people who may not be very savvy in photography can take a pretty good picture that they are happy about with these tools that are present on these devices. And finally, another example is where we've seen surgical robots that allow for minimally invasive procedures. We've seen the Da Vinci surgical system, for instance, that a lot of medical practitioners now use, and also the prevalence of robots in factories that often perform repetitive tasks with high precision. And they tend to learn and adapt to new tasks and help improve efficiency and ensure higher quality control. Many of these tools now use artificial intelligence, or AI, which broadly speaking is the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines. And these processes can include machine learning, acquisition of information, reasoning, and self-correction. And until recently, we've seen, traditional supervised learning process that relies on labeled data. But now we've seen this shift to what we call self-supervised learning, where, these AI systems leverage the data itself to generate and learn from these patterns within the data. For example, something as simple here where an AI system needs to predict the next word in the sentence. So if I have "the sky is," the model assigns probabilities to these different possible completions based on patterns it has learned from large amounts of data. And in this case, "the sky is blue" is the most likely completion, but the model also considers other possibilities like clear or cloudy, or usually, and other sorts of tokens. And so self-supervised learning represents that shift towards more autonomous AI systems that can learn and adapt without extensive human intervention. So given all the attention and excitement around these large language models, the evolution of natural language processing has come a long way since the introduction of that first GPT model. And we saw, Adam demonstrating, the capabilities of a more recent one. And the latest model that OpenAI recently unveiled, GPT-4o, is this Omni model capable of handling text, video, and audio. So they're all large language models, basically a neural network trained on massive amounts of data to understand and generate text. And so generally speaking, I would say that AI has been a pretty significant disruptor recently, and it has really, gotten people to think about ways in which we could leverage AI to think about new applications and discoveries. So you all might have heard the recent news where an AI model was able to identify a new type of antibiotic that works against a particularly menacing drug-resistant bacteria. But at the same time, we also see, a lot of, public statements and alarm bells on just how fast evolving AI technology is and what are the risks, and, is it going to kill mankind? How do we actually reconcile with these two paradoxical or contrasting aspects of AI? Specifically, what does this all mean for us who regularly do visual analysis? While visual analysis is powerful, it can be complex, messy, and challenging. And this complexity comes from just that iterative nature of analysis, the need for data cleaning and the interpretation and just going back and getting more data and vice versa. And so this initial analysis leads to insights, which in turn may lead to new questions requiring further data exploration and additional visualizations, part of this cycle of analysis. So one of the stuff, the main things that, my team has been looking at in particular, and I think a lot of us in the community have been exploring, is how do we augment and support a user in their data exploration journey using AI? So when we think about how humans and AI interface, collaboration can take various forms depending on the task and goals at hand. You know, we have something as extreme as automation, which involves AI taking over often repetitive or routine tasks, allowing humans to focus on more complex, interesting, and perhaps strategic activities. For example, robots automate assembly line tasks, for instance. Augmentation is where AI tools enhance human capabilities by providing additional insights, maybe suggesting actions, or automating parts of a task while leaving critical decisions to humans. For example, AI systems can analyze medical images to highlight potential areas of concern where doctors can further review and diagnose. Human judgment, which is kind of the extreme end of that spectrum, is where I'd really like to emphasize that irreplaceable role of human judgment, and where human intuition, creativity, ethical considerations are all critical as part of that decision-making process. You know, we see this in creative industries, or where human interaction is valuable, like that human touch when you have student and teacher counseling, for instance, or a musical ensemble. So there are just different ways in which human judgment also plays a critical role in that spectrum. So as we know, as part of Tableau's mission, we are here to help people see and understand data. And I truly believe that this mission still holds good in these changing times. We want to make data accessible, understandable, and actionable for everyone, starting from raw data all the way to a visualization. But this process from data to visualization involves a number of steps, including cleaning, shaping, transforming, and visualizing the data to create a story for analysis and communication. So in the context of visual analysis, automation can streamline repetitive and time-consuming tasks, allowing users to focus on more strategic and creative aspects of their work. So we've already seen evidence where AI techniques could be used for data cleaning, such as removing duplicates, correcting errors, formatting, date-time formats, for instance, and it can help with transforming data, such as pivoting and aggregations, along with automatically creating calculations using built-in functions that a tool like Tableau provides. Augmentation in the context of visual analysis involves using AI and advanced tools to partner with human capabilities, but not replace them. So this could mean AI assisting in identifying patterns and generating insights from data, guiding users towards the most important findings. Or it could be suggesting the use of templates and automated design features to streamline the authoring process. Another aspect where augmentation can play a role is, data-driven stories, by suggesting narratives and highlighting key points, so that team members in an organization, for example, can collaborate together and come up with a communication strategy around their data that they care about. So while AI and automation are powerful, human intuition, experience, and critical thinking are irreplaceable for effective decision-making, which helps drive innovation and fosters community engagement. So data can provide insights, but it is the human perspective that I think is where we're uniquely poised to think outside the box, challenge the assumptions, explore new ideas. And I fundamentally believe in this. And I will show some examples where members of my team have been exploring how we can apply deep knowledge and curiosity to interpret these models and develop new technologies and experiences to help with data analysis. And the fact that all of you are here gathered together, I think, for this tug is an indicative of how strong community is, and highlighting that community engagement relies on understanding, empathy, and effective communication. So I'm going to talk a bit more about some of the stuff that we're doing, I would say particularly in the space of augmentation, and the ways in which we're beginning to understand the strengths and limitations of leveraging AI and building more intelligent tools in visual analysis. And as was introduced at the beginning of this TUG, I head the Tableau research team, and we are an industrial research team of computer scientists. And our work ranges from exploring natural language interfaces, new user interactivity techniques, and various types of prototypes, more recently exploring these large language models. So I'm going to just briefly provide you some exemplars of a few projects that we've recently explored in the context of leveraging AI for helping us be more effective in terms of how we reason and use data. So the first theme here is what I call natural language summaries and responses. In research, we tend to have names for all our projects. It's just a way for people to just understand and identify with the various prototypes that we build. So this first project in this theme is what we call Olio, which is a semantic search interface for data repositories that supports this hybrid blend of search goals that include question and answering as well as exploratory search. So the main idea for hybrid search stems from Google, where, at the thick of the pandemic, if you were to ask a question about COVID cases, you would probably get a screen like this, which kind of showed a combination of dynamic content from data that Google deemed as reliable, like Johns Hopkins data, as well as pre-existing documents that map to that search intent. So taking that analogy of showing a mix of dynamically generated and pre-authored content, we were looking at ways in which we could help our customers find information to the questions that they asked about their data without having to go to separate landing pages for pre-authored Tableau workbooks, for instance, or dynamically getting a response for a question that they might have for their data. And I'm going to show a brief video in a moment to show how Olio works here. But basically, given a query like how has the trend of movie budgets changed over time for different genres, Olio provides this line chart on the top that you see here, along with pre-authored content, as well as a generated summary, as you see here, where we used a large language model. At this time, it was GPT-3. GPT-3 in this case generated a pithy summary that went along with the dynamically generated multivariate line chart that was produced here. So I'm just going to quickly show a video and talk over it as the video is playing. All right, so I type in a question, what are average budgets by genre? And I hit enter. And Olio matches that intent to a certified data source that is already pre-identified by the admin, movies, generates a bar chart, generates a summary. Video is going pretty quickly in the interest of time, but shows sales across the US. In this case, Olio matches to our good old Superstore data set, shows a map as well as some summary, but you can switch between that to another data set that also matches to the intent and generates the summary. So this was something that we showed at the Tableau customer conference last year in 2023, and people found this to be kind of a useful way to get an answer to a question without really having to think about the mechanics of where they should ask it, where is the content, and so forth. All right. The second project under this theme explores how GPT models can be used as data sources to explain trends in data. As you saw at the beginning of this meeting, we have this new feature called Pulse, and in the research team, we're looking at ways in which we can use GPT as what we call an ad hoc data source, where it's not necessarily a tabular data source that someone has explicitly included, but can we use GPT as a way to explain data events that are happening in trends? Showing something like this. If I have, a really sharp spike down, can I generate a summary like this? After a 6-month gradual rise and bumpy plateau, the stock price tanked. And there is kind of a reason why I've bolded these words, because we found that, having accurate descriptors in language that describe the semantics of the shape of the trends tends to be much more memorable and useful for a human when they're looking at these explanations. So how do we actually get a large language model to generate semantically relevant label descriptors for mapping to these trend properties? So I'm going to show a video where a team member, Denny Bromley, is walking through an explanation of how we do this.
When people investigate data, they often have the same question: what happened here? Well, we didn't know either. So we asked some people what they thought happened, and we gave them a tool to tell us. Using our tool, people annotated visual features in line charts by dragging descriptive words from the left over to the line charts on the right. People gave us a lot of great data. In total, we had 67 participants and almost 2,000 different chart annotations. That was almost 120 annotations per chart. The data gave us a pretty quantitative sense of what people mean by certain words. For example, the average line slope implied by the word soaring is higher than the average line slope of taking off, which is higher than the basically flat line slope of plateau, which is higher than slumping, which is higher than the steepest downward slope of tanking. It also showed us how people use words together. For example, in addition to itself, valley is often used with bouncing and upturn. Flatline is often used with plateau, stagnant, and stable. Soaring is often used with increasing, peak, and taking off. And peak? Well, peak is pretty much only used by itself. Maybe people were telling us that a peak is just always a peak. So the dataset helped us begin to quantify some of these semantics. But what can we do with these data? Well, we can search data and automatically identify some of the shapes that our participants told us about. Here, for example, our system automatically identified peaks, valleys, areas of growth, and even 2 flavors of tanking. We can also automatically add labels to charts, but with an increased sense of nuance and accuracy. For example, we can quantitatively distinguish nuance about how the data is increasing and then convey that information to the user. We can also begin to quantify what fast means to different annotations and different geometries. We can even ask ChatGPT what it thinks happened.
All right. So those are some ways in which we are leveraging GPT to generate summaries. And as you can see here, it's not just, going to GPT and getting a summary, but we do feed in some additional data and context as part of the prompt, from what is generated, say, in a Q&A system like Olio, all the way to a data set that describe these trends, as Denny demonstrated in the video. The second theme that I'd like to briefly touch upon is where we explore how AI models can help guide visual analysis and data-driven communication. And so what we're trying to is this continuous problem or challenge that users have found, even with natural language interfaces that have become prevalent to support visual analysis. And the 2 main issues are, users are often posed with the challenge of, yes, I know that there's a data set, but what should I explore? And even if I know if there are some attributes that are worth exploring, how do I phrase these questions in a way that the system can understand? And so Snowy was a research project that looked at helping users frame their questions in natural language and also provide context-sensitive recommendations using both templated language as well as GPT for generating this. So here, Snowy shows up new recommendations based on the underlying data. So, here I have a bunch of attributes about movies on the left side, and you can see some recommendations that appear on the right side. And because I don't have any chart and I'm starting from scratch, there are no follow-up recommendations, but you can see that there are new inquiries that are generated by the system. And I can go ahead and select the last one. And if I select that, Snowy basically generates a line chart for what is the trend of worldwide growth over the years. And you can notice that the recommendations are also shown for follow-up based on what is in context, such as, compare across content ratings or focus on a particular spike in the line chart, for example. So if I select the first follow-up recommendation, which is compare across content ratings, then Snowy will generate this multivariate line chart where it breaks down the first line chart by content rating to show this result. So aspects of this is what influenced Tableau Copilot, and we're currently looking at further ways in which we can leverage GPT models to provide useful recommendations, but also having a way to validate some of these questions that the models are producing so that we can make sure that a valid visualization is produced and it is useful. So, collecting user feedback and user interactions as they interact with the tool so that we can further improve the ranking and precision of these systems. The second project under this theme is called Data Tales. So with this project, we particularly wanted to explore the power of generative AI for creating data stories. And data stories come in many shapes, but fundamentally, there are basically a bunch of data visualizations connected by an underlying narrative. And we found that, for customers, it is pretty overwhelming to create these data stories from scratch. And while these data stories are a great way to communicate analysis insights, they tend to be extremely challenging because you need to have creative muscles to figure out how to tell the story, and putting it down into words can be a time-consuming process. So we thought that, can we use, generative AI as a way to help with this, maybe providing ideas or an outline for different ways to tell the story. But it comes with its own set of challenges. First, prompting is a challenging interaction paradigm for many of us, especially if you need to pass the whole data context to a model. The output tends to have errors, and which sometimes can be obvious, but sometimes dangerously subtle and hard to spot. So hallucinations are a real thing. So I'm going to quickly show a video of how Data Tales works, and then I'll talk a little bit about it after the video is done playing. It's a silent video, so there's no voiceover. So you see here from the chart, I select a bunch of marks and I hit the generate button. And Data Tales creates a prompt, including features from the input chart and annotations, and passes this prompt to the language model to generate the text in the proposed title. And since it went by really quickly, I'll just play it again so that you can look at it. All right. So what we do here is we have a system where a user can either pass the chart directly into GPT or select specific marks in a chart that they've already authored, and use GPT to create data stories. And the nice thing is these stories are editable. So if I hover over the marks on the chart on the left side, it will highlight the appropriate text on the right side. So as an author, I can validate if the story is actually representative of the, the data and the marks that I'm interested in telling the story. We're also looking at ways in which we can change the verbosity, the language, maybe the style, depending on the audience. For example, generating a story for a more accessible audience is very different from, say, generating a story for my boss or my an executive in an organization. So looking at ways in which we can use GPT to create these storytelling building blocks is something that is work in progress. So, we have a lot of ongoing projects, but I think what we have, identified as sort of the key takeaways is, while LLMs and AI in general are here to stay, there's still a lot of open issues when it comes to using them responsibly. At the end of the day, LLMs are often seen as black boxes, meaning their internal workings are not transparent to users, and there's a need for adding sufficient guardrails in tools that use LLMs to ensure the validity and the reliability of these outputs. LLMs can analyze large data sets to identify patterns or anomalies, and they can assist in understanding some historical data and generating insights based on trends and patterns. And we're currently looking at ways in which we can leverage LLMs for domain-specific concepts and semantics. I mean, one of the challenges is because they are trained on, vast amounts of data that are out in the open, a lot of times, customers like, well, we have a very bespoke type of data in our organization. So how do we actually leverage LLMs that can handle the semantics that are very unique to our organization? And that is still an interesting challenge that we are exploring. And I think at the end of the day, LLMs can generate initial insights and narratives, but human oversight is essential to refine and validate these outputs. LLMs tend to provide exposition about insights, may not provide actual explanations for those insights, but I will say that these models are getting more sophisticated. So that exposition to explanation jump or leap might diminish over, a few months or a year, but that is still something that is, something to reckon with. They often tend to be surface level. And I think, just being part of Tableau, there are some opportunities where we can use LLMs to supplement and further the mission for our customers, especially with, Tableau's features, helping bridge between some of the complex functions that the tool supports, like LODs and advanced calculations, or using Python and R, and how can we use LLMs as a bridge so that all our users can benefit from the repertoire of functionality that Tableau affords. So I think, we are definitely focused on augmentation as a space where we're trying to look for ways in which we can explore and leverage the capabilities of AI and really combine that with Tableau's unique capabilities. And I think there are going to be places where some of the more mundane, repetitive tasks that we often do manually in a tool like Tableau could be replaced by AI in the future. So revisiting that spectrum from automation, augmentation to human judgment is something that we have to constantly calibrate and look into. So you might ask, the question, okay, so this is all cool, but where are we going next? And while I don't have a crystal ball to predict exactly how these AI trends are going to unfold, here are some intuitions to sort of get your creative juices going. I will say, while these tools can help manage complexity, human insight and creativity are here to stay. So there are going to be new ways of consuming and iterating with data. We're already seeing, tools like push notifications about data insights in Slack. new experiences of presenting with data like Tableau gestures, as Matt Bremer is showing here, viewing data where people are at their fingertips with sensors and IoT, looking at the energy consumption of my appliances on my phone, or making real-time decisions where people want to see how the supply chain is working out on a factory floor, for instance. So I would be curious to hear from this community in terms of where you think AI is going, and by kind of removing some of the mundane processes that we may not enjoy doing, what does it leave us to do more of, in the future? And I think that is an interesting discussion to be had. And so with that, I really want to thank you all for listening. This is a link to the Tableau Research website, my personal contact information, if you have any other further questions, concerns, or thoughts. But I really want to acknowledge the wonderful team that does all this amazing work. Denny Bromley, Nicole, Anna, Matt Bremer, and we're getting a new person to join our Palo Alto office later this month, Srishti Palani, who is graduating from UCSD. So we are a very small team, but I will say we are a mighty team, and we continue to just enjoy and push innovation. So yeah. That's all I had. Happy to take any questions or look at the chat history. Yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Vidya. Will?
Yeah, let's do the ChatGPT summary of the competition quickly. So I'm all about making more winners in the community, and this is our chance. So we were asked to design or build a logo and a banner for our Tableau user group page, and we tried. We tried. I feel like I look at these sometimes. I'm like, is it a squid that had like a rough night? Is it Star Wars?
Thanks, Will.
I'm not too sure. So what we've got here is a little contest in the community where you can design our logo and our banner image. You can submit one, you can submit both. Either one could win you $50 gift cards. This would be like a gift card for Tableau Store or for a store of your choice, say like Amazon as well. We're exploring all kinds of options. So we'll have more details with that when we come to the winners. So if you're wondering how you can get started, this is sort of my attempts that didn't even make the actual page. So I would say take a Tableau logo. I went to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you redesign this for an AI user group? And specifically, I said, ChatGPT, can you draw these images? So we'd draw them rather than describe them. What then produced for me was a range of different images. So I got a grid of, say, 4 images to start with. I then thought I want to try and keep with like the plus symbol. I like that part. So I focused on image 3, which then came back with some kind of cult logo. It feels like part of it. So I said, no, can you focus, line it down to the pluses a bit more? And I got to this. I didn't think this was too bad. So I wanted to share this just as a way that you can go and quickly go and start designing a logo with ChatGPT. It's all about don't sell for what you get to start with. Think about how you can go and take one of those options and refine it a bit further.
100%.
So, yeah. So I have some quick guidelines here. Most of the details are going to be on our forums page at the moment. So we're going to drop a link to that in the chat. One thing I did want to highlight, it will be a simple Google form to fill out in the end. So we do need your name and email just so we can contact you. This isn't like, we're not going to like send you spam marketing stuff. We don't have time for that.
Speak for yourself, Will.
and then this is where you go and submit your logo and your banner submissions. One nice thing, if you do want to share what AI tool you use, say this could be ChatGPT, this could be Midjourney, this could be something else, that would be great to share here and any of the prompts that you used. I think that might be a nice way that we can all sort of see what prompts made what images or what logos, which I think would be a nice thing to share with the community. But yeah, that's what we have, a little community competition. I'll be showing more of that as the weeks go by. We have quite a while to do it, so you have 5 or 6 weeks to go and submit something for this. But yeah, looking forward to what the community can do and saying goodbye to the squid and what the community wants us to do.
Thanks for that, Will. And also want to thank Vidya for her incredible presentation. It was so good to see what was going on behind the scenes of the research and stuff that most people don't get an opportunity to see, and the thought involved with getting products out that are generative AI related, and how it enhances what we could do for our stakeholders and make our jobs even easier. So again, thank you so much for your help, Vidya.
Thank you so much.
So with that, I guess we could say goodbye and stop the recording. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions for Vidya. At the very least, I could share them with her and she could definitely respond. I'll share her response with you if you can't reach her directly. So again, thank you so much for your time, everyone. And she did drop her email as well. Thank you, Vidya.